Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about 3 cases of murderers acquitted due to insanity. Deanna Laney was a 39-year-old woman from New Chapel Hill, Texas. She was a devout Christian and a homeschooling mother of 3. On May 9th of 2003, Deanna Laney woke up in the middle of the night. She claimed that the Lord was speaking to her, and he was telling her to kill her children. Deanna claimed that the end was near and that she needed to prove her devotion to her God. Deanna crept downstairs to her 8-year-old son Joshua's bedroom. She led him outside to the front yard. She took a huge rock and placed it above her head and brought it down on top of Joshua's head as hard as she could. She bludgeoned her son to death. She then hid his body behind a swing set and went back into her home to retrieve her 6-year-old son Luke. She brought him outside and proceeded to do the same thing she did to Joshua, and she bludgeoned Luke to death. She then took that same rock and brought it inside her home to her 14-month-old son Aaron's bedroom. She brought the rock down on top of his head 2 times, causing him severe brain injuries. Deanna then calmly dialed 911 and explained what happened and requested emergency services. Deanna was quickly brought in on murder charges. Deanna's trial began in 2004. 5 different medical health experts reviewed the case, and all the experts came to the same conclusion: that Deanna suffered from psychotic delusions, which made her unable to know right from wrong. Deanna was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Deanna was committed to Kerrville State Hospital for 8 years and was released in May of 2012. Deanna only has a few stipulations: no contact with minors, and she must submit to random drug screenings to ensure she is taking her medicines. As far as we know, Deanna is free to live her best life. Lovequan Scott, 23, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Lovequan was acting very strangely in the weeks leading up to his crimes. He claimed to hear voices of a little man in his throat telling him what to do. There were text messages from his family to their friends saying that Lovequan was acting aggressive and paranoid and that they feared for their safety. One day before his crimes, he showed up at a hospital to request their assistance, but he was later turned away for failure to pay and also because he did not have any health insurance. Lovequan went home that night and proceeded to lose his mind. In the middle of the night, Lovequan took a dumbbell and entered his grandparents' room. He began striking both Joseph Magnagolt, 72, and Rose Magnagolt, 69, while they were sound asleep in their beds. They died of blunt force trauma. Then Lovequan moved his attack downstairs to the family's garage, where he found his 15-year-old niece, Faith Magnagolt, and his 42-year-old aunt, Kenya Magnagolt, and began attacking them with the dumbbell too. Both Kenya and Faith died of their injuries from blunt force trauma. The next morning, a family member showed up, and seeing the scene, they called 911, and when police arrived, they found a distraught Lovequan covered in blood, repeating over and over again that "I'm not sick." Lovequan was quickly taken in on 4 counts of murder. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The detectives, the defense team, solicitors, and the judge all agreed that Lovequan could not be criminally responsible for his crimes because he was suffering an onset of schizophrenia and murderous thoughts when he was attacking. He will go to a mental hospital with high security and he will be medicated. Whether Lovequan will ever get out depends on mental evaluations and the court system. I do sure hope that they take into account all the crimes Lovequan committed before the onset of his schizophrenia. Before he ever committed murder, he was charged with breaking into vehicles, stealing gas from vehicles, receiving stolen goods, possession of a stolen gun, carrying a weapon on school property, drug possession, resisting arrest, and trespassing. His release date, if ever, is to be determined. Akshay Chand, 18 Hillcrest, Auckland, New Zealand. Akshay Chand and his friend Christy Marqueux had known each other since grade school. They lost touch, but ended up rekindling their friendship while working at the same supermarket. Chand called Christy on the morning of September 6th of 2011 and begged her to come over, saying that he felt like killing himself. Being the good friend that she was, she quickly went to his house. After speaking with him for a few moments, Chand became agitated. He pulled out a large knife from the kitchen and told Christy to hand over her phone, and forcefully took it from her. Then he demanded that she take off all her clothing, which she complied. Chand then told Chrissy he planned to rape her, but he couldn't go through with it. Chand then gave her back her clothes and her phone and told her to leave, but not to tell anyone. Christy quickly went home and went straight to police to report the incident, and Chand was picked up and charged with kidnapping, threatening bodily harm, and assault with intent to sexually violate. Christy wrote a letter to the courts expressing her fear of them releasing Chand and bailing him out to Chand's mother's house, which was only 300 meters from her own home, and that she felt uneasy and worried about his release. Yet Chand did make bail, and 32 days after Chand got out, he showed up at Christy's home at 7 a.m. Christy's mother answered the door on November 11th of 2011 and let out a scream at the sight of Chand carrying a large kitchen knife. Hearing the commotion, Christy came running up the stairs of her home, and Chand kicked her in the chest with a mighty force, and she fell all the way to the bottom of the stairs. She quickly got up and ran out her back door, attempting to flee him, but he chased after her, and he stabbed her once in her left side of her face and 10 more times in her chest, before the knife bent so badly it couldn't be used anymore. Christy's mother quickly went to her aid. She called emergency services and held her daughter as she took her last breaths. Chand remained at the scene and did not attempt to hurt Christy's mom, but when police arrived, he told them it's not easy killing someone, then politely asked to use his iPod. After being examined by leading psychiatric experts, they all agreed that Chand had an early onset of schizophrenia. They said that he planned to kill Christy, that he knew what he was doing, but didn't know his actions were morally wrong. On October 17th of 2012, Akshay Chand was acquitted of Christy's murder by reason of insanity. Chand has been remanded to a psychiatric hospital where he will stay indefinitely. At least that's what Christy's parents were led to believe. In 2018, Christy's parents found out that Chand was allowed supervised leave to go about the city. He had been spotted in their local neighborhood at McDonald's, the public library, and some other spots. Christy's parents still fear for their safety and believe that he will come and attack them and their family eventually. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.